The VO meter, measuring your voiceover progress. Whether you're a veteran voice actor, just starting out, or don't even know how to set a level, we're here to help you avoid the pitfalls along your voiceover path to success. The VO meter is brought to you by Voice Actor Websites, Voice 123, Studio Bricks, Global Voice Acting Academy, JMC Demos, and Sennheiser. The VO meter is produced in part using Source Connect, made by source-elements.com. And now your hosts, Paul Stefano and Sean Daly.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 107 of the VO meter,
measuring your voiceover progress. Today, we're going to talk all about dubbing and how that works with a fabulous studio owner and coach, Fannie Brett-Rabault. She actually approached us for being on the show, which we're always surprised when that happens because we think, hey, someone's listening. So hopefully you're listening too, and you'll enjoy the interview with Fannie coming up.
All right, we'll get to that in a few minutes, but before that, it's time for our VO meter reference levels.
VoiceOver Extra brings you the VO meter reference levels. Seriously, guys, that's the best you could come up with? Hey, it's your show.
All right, so I have some things to talk about. Do you want to start? Because I haven't talked to you in a while, so I'm interested. What are you doing?
What am I doing? Wedding stuff mainly, but still working on VO as well, of course. Today I had an interesting narration with a Chinese client. It was funny because it was sort of like a documentary travelogue kind of thing, and lots of different Chinese place names, pronunciations, and things like that. But the client only initially sent me one pronunciation guide. So I was like, all right, I'll try my best. And so I looked up at all the popular places like 4VO and How Jay Say and sent off my attempts. And as you might guess, there was a lot of requests for pickups, but luckily this time they sent me a series of pronunciation guides. So I'm just like, thank you. Let's do that for all the future projects, please.
That sounds
But
familiar.
other than that, oh yeah, it happens. Speaking of dubbing stuff. But other than that, my regular e-learning gigs, trying to break more into character work. I've been seeing more video game auditions, and I've been working with some of the coaches at GVAA to hone my character performances because I'd like to finally have a video game demo in the next year. So that's what I'm working towards. What about you, Paul?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, based on what you just talked about, a funny story about pronunciation I recently had. This was in a live sporting event that I was doing. So when I get a roster, usually there's a pronunciation guide from the visiting team that says how to pronounce their names, because a lot of the schools have international players, especially in soccer, and in some cases it's just a name that somebody might screw up. Like my name is frequently screwed up. I pronounce it Stefano. Some people call me Stefano. My son's recent high school awards ceremony, they called him Di Stefano. That's not right either. But anyway, this school had a bunch of hard names to pronounce, and they sent a pronunciation guide with 3 total names on them, and one of them was the coach. So it was very little help. And I had lots of questions, and nobody was there to ask, including one whose poor name was George Balazak. So I'm talking to my compatriots in the booth and saying, ball sack? Can you think of another way to say that? And everyone said, hey, if they really cared about it or were concerned about it, they'd send a pronunciation guide for him. So
It's like the philosopher,
yeah.
you know?
So he wasn't in the starting lineup, and I said, okay, phew, they don't have to announce his name. But then, sure enough, later on in the game, he gets an assist on a lacrosse goal, and I actually stumbled on it because I knew I was going to have to say it and couldn't figure out what I was going to do. I didn't actually plan for it after the starting lineups were done, and he wasn't there. So I said, goal by number so-and-so, assist by number 14, George Ballsack.
Balzac.
And then I just cut off the mic. Luckily, I had my switch, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, you actually said it!" And I said, "I didn't know what else to do. I totally froze and panicked."
I'm panicked.
So if you're out there, sports information directors for universities, please send a complete pronunciation guide. Ideally, a recording would be great. Some schools do that. They actually either have the players themselves record their names, which is usually foolproof, or a coach or sports information director will record the whole roster for me and then send it to me. So this give me something to work with, please.
I know, please. It's just like, I mean, there's a lot of research we can do on our own, but like I was saying, I was checking 3 to 5 different sources and there was no consistency, right? And like some of them, you can even review how accurate the pronunciations are for person or place names. But again, just a plea to our potential clientele, like if it has any kind of unique or foreign language names or places and things like that, please send us a pronunciation file, even if you do it yourself.
Yeah, and again, the audio is great, especially if it's something that involves a lot of mouth or guttural sounds that you don't normally make in English, like Arabic or Hebrew or Japanese, and Chinese have those too. So it's really important to have those sound, not only the pronunciation, but the way to make those sounds that are not in English. So please help us. So that was one quick sports announcing story, and unfortunately, those are mostly done for me. Those are winding down, as I do mostly colleges and universities and some high schools. It's the end of the school year, so I'm done with pretty much all the university stuff. I have a couple of, or I hope to have a couple of minor league baseball announcing gigs. I haven't actually gotten called by them yet, except for one that I said I could not do. But I have started with the Nationals. I mentioned last episode I'm the backup for the Washington Nationals Major League Baseball team now. And I did start with them last Friday on a shadowing basis. So I haven't been on the mic yet, but they wanted me to come in for a few days and just watch how the operation works and make sure I knew how to go through the script and find all the things I needed to say. Because it is like a full production, a full TV production. They do the in-stadium entertainment, so stuff that pops up on the scoreboard, any sort of trivia contest in the crowd, promotions from local sponsors like the state lottery or beer companies, and then I have to announce those things along with it. So one run-through last Friday, and I'm going back on Monday for another run-through. But it was still fun. I got to be in the stadium, watch the baseball game from the press box, got to meet all the people that work on the production, and free food, which is always nice.
Sweet. Never underestimate free food.
And then one other thing I want to talk about is a bit of a cautionary tale and a horror story, maybe. So I don't want to call it the specific company because I am still working with them, although I don't know for how long. But a couple of episodes back, I mentioned a high-paying gig I got for a national commercial in Mexico. And I have still not been fully paid for it. And we are now 7 months into the contract. It was in November that I completed this job. I've been hounding them, contacting them. It's a little tough because they're not local, but all the ways I have to contact these people, they still haven't paid me the full amount. After 5 months, I finally got them to pay me a partial payment, but it was only a third of what I was owed, and I'm still chasing them for the rest. And I foolishly did another commercial for them. That was 4 months ago now. Haven't been paid on that either. So like I said, I don't want to name the company because I am technically still working with them, and I hope that things come to fruition. But word of the wise, maybe in certain situations where you don't know who you're working with, and it might be difficult to find out or get a hold of them if they're not a local company, or maybe even under the same jurisdiction that you can file a small claims case, maybe get some payment up front.
Indeed. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like I said, I'm hoping for the best. Fingers crossed. I'm generally, I won't say I'm a trusting person. I'm really not. I'm definitely half.
You're one of the biggest cynics I know. What do you say?
Yes, I'm definitely a cynic, but I usually hope for things to not be confrontational if possible until the very end. And at some point, you kind of have to. And yeah, it's a shame. At some point, I even did. I guess you'd call it blackmailing because there was another job that came through this company, and I was still waiting for this payment. So I did it, and I knew they were going to need some pickups because, first of all, I kind of half-assed it, honestly. I didn't give my all because I didn't want them to use the raw audio for the job. And sure enough, they came back and said, "We need some pickups on this." And I said, I will send the pickups when you send me payment for that last job. And we went back and forth for like 3 or 4 days, and they were saying, "But we're going to lose the client." And I said, "Yeah, at this point, I don't care. You haven't really been helping me, so you losing another client that you won't pay me for anyway is not really a detriment to me." So then they paid me another partial payment. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, as I like to say, your lack of preparation is not a crisis for me.
Yeah. So then with that, they did finally pay me another partial payment, and I sent them the audio. But then that job I haven't been paid for. So it's just this constant vicious circle. And like I said, I hope things will eventually work themselves out. But who knows?
Well, fingers crossed for that, you optimistic cynic.
Yeah, thanks. So that's really all that's going on in my VO world. A couple of other e-learning jobs here and there, and always working on audiobooks. But I haven't finished any in a while, so I will speak about those when they are wrapped.
Sounds good.
So we'll get to our interview with Fannie in just a few minutes after a not-so-questionable gear purchase.
Questionable gear purchase.
So I recently reached out to, actually, MikeParts.com to ask about a potential sponsorship opportunity, or at least some trial units, because I've always been intrigued by that company and adding parts to a microphone that I already had to enhance its quality. I remember Dan Leonard did this with a model a couple of years ago and had great results. And I like tinkering with stuff too. I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but I've had several electric bikes over the years and scooters, like probably a dozen. I like to build the kits and adjust them, and I learned a lot about how electrical work is done through that. So I thought maybe it'd be fun to solder some microphone parts together. So anyway, I got a response from the owner, Matt McGlynn, and Matt said, "I don't know if that's a great fit for your podcast. However, I own Roswell Audio," which I did not know at the time. I didn't realize they were the same company. So he said, "Why don't I send you a Roswell mic to review?" And I said, "That sounds great to me." So I somehow convinced Matt to send one to both Sean and I. And we are both right now using the Roswell Audio Mini K87 condenser microphone. So thanks to Matt and Roswell for sending us the mics. And now we're going to talk a little bit about them and how we like them. So first of all, Sean, I know you've used it just right now, right, or that last day. And it's the same for me. I hooked it up the last 24 hours. But what are your thoughts so far?
First impressions are very positive. I mean, so just some quick features about this mic. It's about $440 for the version that we got, so kind of in that mid-range. They also have one that's a little less expensive for $389, but it doesn't come with their trademark cutaway shock mount. It's a really nice shock mount. Kind of reminds me of the one that Neumann uses for their the newer one for their TLM 102 and 103 models.
I think that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And as the name suggests, it's definitely emulating the Neumann U87. It's like it looks like a mini U87. It's about half the length. It's a little bit shorter than, say, like the Rode NT1, but it's a lot heavier. This thing has some weight with it. Like you could use it as a blunt instrument. I wouldn't recommend that, but it's got a lovely natural but kind of smooth sound to it. And very low self-noise, very low distortion, and honestly, I have no problem recommending it to talent looking for a beginner or mid-range mic.
Yeah, just the tech specs, if you look up their website, it's cardioid-only polar pattern. It's a large diaphragm, 34-millimeter true condenser, frequency range of 20 to 20,000 hertz, sensitivity of 14 MVPA, I don't know what that is, impedance of 112 ohms, signal to noise of 82 dBA, equivalent noise of 12 dBA, and it does need phantom power. Physical dimensions, that we don't do a lot in millimeters, but 150 by 44 millimeters. So those are tech specs. As far as how it sounds for me, I'm kind of blown away by it, honestly. I haven't used the U87. I have used a TLM 103 and a TLM 149, and I like this better than both. The 149 was great, but I could never use it in the studio because it's a little too sensitive. The 103, I hated. I hated how sensitive it was.
I remember with a passion. I enjoyed how I sounded on the Neumann. Like I got the whole rich chocolate vibes that everyone talks about, but I don't have a booth like Paul does, so I was just so paranoid about using it because of the sensitivity. Whether or not that was actually a problem for me, I'll never know because I sold it.
Well, I had a booth at the time, and everything would bleed right through. I also just didn't like the tone either. It did not pick up the lower frequencies of my voice very well. This, however, does, but not to a point that it's muddy or distorting it all. Like the Neat King B I used up until recently would pick up a lot of mud, and I wasn't too fond of the way that sounded on some things. And I used it for like 2 years and booked a lot of jobs on it, but eventually my ears got sort of tired of hearing that dark mud all the time. What I like about this is it's more neutral. I hear all the nuances, and I can hear every frequency when I'm editing on my voice, at least. And my son's too, actually. My 12-year-old son did an audition yesterday, and it sounded just as good on him as it did on me. So I'm kind of blown away by the sound. So kudos to Roswell, and we'll do some more talking about it. But right off the bat, I have to say I'd highly recommend it, both for price and just for the sound. How it compares to a U87, I can't really say, but who cares? It sounds freaking awesome.
Not too far off the base. I mean, it's been a number of years since I've used one, but that one, while good, it is noticeably darker than a lot of modern mics. But this one, just looking at their website and what they were kind of going for, Roswell describes that they designed the K87 to provide an all-purpose, do-anything microphone that doesn't impose its own will on the source, but also does not sound cold or clinical. We found that there can be a satisfying balance between neutrality and character, and I think that hit the nail on the head perfectly, because I was doing a comparison before we met up of my standard condenser, which is the Gefell M930. Love that mic for its light size and stuff like that, but it can be bright and emphasize some parts of my voice that I'm not fond of. This one sounds very natural, but dare I say it makes me sound better than I do in real life. So, I don't know. It's a good problem to have, maybe, but maybe if people hear me on that first and then meet me like, oh, I thought you sounded more handsome in person. I don't know.
I thought you sounded taller.
Yeah, right.
I do hear a couple of plosives when you're talking, so watch your placement on them. I haven't had that problem, but I do have it angled away, so it's at like the 45 degrees off my mouth. But I am closer than I normally am to most mics. And what impressed me about this mic most is its lack of picking up unwanted noise. So I don't know if it's the the cardioid polar pattern, or if it's like they said, it's meant to be neutral. But I was really worried it would pick up every mouth click. I was doing an audiobook earlier, and that was a big problem for me with lots of mics. I might have gotten better at diction since I started doing this, but when I first started, I had terrible problems with mouth clicks. What sent me down the rabbit hole for searching on new mics was trying to find a mic that naturally did not pick up every mouth click and nose sound. And one of the biggest culprits of that was the Blue Mouse, which is what I traded you the TLM 103 for.
Interesting, yeah.
And the Blue Mouse is a disaster for that.
It was such an interesting mic because it had kind of like an hourglass pickup frequency to it, like lots of highs, lots of bass, but nothing in the middle.
Yeah, I like that mic a lot, but I ultimately couldn't use it because of the clicking, the mouth clicks, and also I knew I was able to resell it for a high price. But this K87, Mini K87, none of that. I listened to like 15 minutes of an audiobook I did earlier, and I couldn't find one mouth click, which is unheard of for me.
Amazing. Yeah, and I was noticing in my comparison track, it definitely was not as sensitive to the mouth clicks as the Gefell. And again, if you're doing long form, that could definitely save you a lot of editing time. And the ones that were there were less offensive. It has this interesting like smoothness, this rounding off of the edges that just makes it really pleasant to listen to.
Yeah, smooth is how I would describe it too. And I love the color patterns too, I must say. I asked Matt to send me a purple one because I live in Baltimore and we have the Baltimore Ravens football team. Unfortunately, those were out of stock when I
That'll
asked
cost you extra.
But I do love the polar patterns. Geez, what is wrong with me today? My brain. I love the color patterns. I love the polar pattern also, but the color patterns. There's a slate. There's a sort of army green. There's a navy blue and a purple. The one we have is what? The
gray blue version, kind of the standard. It's a pleasant kind of like blue steel look, I guess you could say.
Ooh, blue steel.
Yeah.
And then
you have to
the purple's called
purse
deep
your lips
purple.
every time.
Dan. No more. We'll get dinged on YouTube.
It's only 3 seconds.
Yeah. But I had to say, I'm really impressed. I like this mic a lot. And Matt, if you're listening, thank you so much. And hopefully this will help promote and sell more Roswell mics.
Yeah, Matt, thanks again for sending this great piece of kit to us. If you get the standard one, like the $480 one that we're reviewing now, comes with a really nice flight case. The mic itself is excellent build quality, and so is the shock mount that comes with it. It's very durable, it's very sturdy, and it stays put, which can be kind of a I know. It's a concern when you have a heavier condenser mic, especially if you're underslinging it, that it will fall or just won't stay put. So this guy hasn't moved a centimeter since I placed it. So I'm really happy about that.
That's especially important when you have OCD like me and you want to make sure it doesn't move. So I'm terribly paranoid about mic placement, that if I come in the next day, either it will have sagged on the boom or one of my kids have touched it. Not so much anymore now that they're older, but when they were little, I didn't want them to mess around with it. So I'm always looking in the window of the Studio Bricks and saying, ooh, did that move? Is it still in the same spot? And this thing hasn't moved for the last 30 or so hours. So I like the shock mount as well.
So this wraps up our sensible gear purchase for the day. Thanks again to Roswell Audio for the review mics. We're going to get to our interview with Fannie Brett-Rabault in just a moment.
How many times has this happened to you? You're listening to the radio when this commercial comes on, not unlike this one, and this guy starts talking, not unlike myself.
Or maybe it's a woman that starts talking, not unlike myself, and you think to yourself, geez, I could do that.
Well, mister, well, missy, you just got one step closer to realizing your dream as a voiceover artist, because now there's Global Voice Acting Academy. All the tools and straight-from-the-hip, honest information you need to get on a fast track to doing this commercial yourself.
Well, not this one exactly.
Classes, private coaching, webinars, home studio setup, marketing and branding help, members-only benefits like workouts, rate and negotiation advice, practice scripts, and more. All without the kind of hype you're listening to right now. Go ahead, take our jobs from us. We dare you.
Speak for yourself, buddy. I like what I do.
And you will too when you're learning your craft at Global Voice Acting Academy. Find us at globalvoiceacademy.com.
Because you like to have fun.
Studio Bricks designs and creates the highest performing portable sound isolation booths. Their professionally perfected acoustics enhances your performance and takes your recording to their maximum quality from your home studio. Forget about managing noise conflicts with your neighbors and family. Pursue your passion for voiceover on your own time and on your own terms.
Walgreens, because it's flu season. You live in a place with doorknobs and handrails and, people.
We tried booking a vacation rental on one of those other websites. They don't always tell you everything.
The stars take it to the red carpet.
We are back live from the red carpet.
California leads the way for change in America, and so does Kamala Harris.
Rated M for mature. Claire Redfield.
And who exactly are you?
So, yeah, what hashtag should I use to describe a grown man in a tuxedo wrestling a goat?
And prior to 1933, many of them belonged to a variety of political parties that were now outlawed in Germany.
This is the story of how Q got curly. Quinn was crazy about curls. Curly fries, curly straws, curly-haired dogs.
Hey, Jay Michael here. Thanks for listening to the VO Meter podcast. It's one of my favorites. If you're looking for a great demo like the ones you just heard, check out jmcdemos.com for more information.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the interview portion of this episode of the VO Meter. Our guest today is an actor, dub producer, voice director, and voice caster. Fannie Brett-Rabault was born in Angoulême, southwest of France, and became a child of the National Conservatory from 6 to 18 years old. She studied ballet, drama, singing, and music analysis. She won 2 golden medals for drama and ballet. Her ankles got very weak as she grew after high school, happened to me as well, actually, and she wouldn't have had a ballerina's career. She continued to honor the stage not as a ballerina, but as an actor. After graduating from Cours Florent, she moved to Los Angeles in 1984, where she kept growing as a bilingual actress. She worked with James Cameron in Titanic, James Ivory in Les Divorcés, and Francis Ford Coppola in Distant Vision. She also had a band in Paris called Artsy Pop CEO Z Prod, where she produced 3 albums and exposed herself to intense sessions with mixers and sound engineers. She was introduced to the dubbing world in LA in 2018. From 2018 to 2021, she consulted through her company 7 Holdings Media, or 7HM, at Roundabout Studio as an English dubbing supervisor, voice casting director, and a co-director for 16 series and 20 features that appeared on Netflix. She also consulted and produced for Encore Voices, some audio descriptions and animations for many other substantial clients such as Paramount and Disney. In September 2020, she decided to start taking on projects with her co-producer husband and 7HM partner, Maxime Brett-Rabault, the creator of the dubbing remote workflow. 7HM now has 5 features, 2 French animations, and its first series recorded remotely from German to English US for Paramount+. 7HM also just wrapped a collaboration with Lumen and Forge and Super Alloy, immersive Las Vegas studios, where 7HM recorded with facial captures for a big brand, all remotely. Fannie has a true passion for what she does and gives her actors and coworkers as much compassion and enthusiasm as she can. So thank you for joining us. Fannie, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Fannie. Man, I feel like we're in voiceover royalty company right now. You have quite the accomplished career.
Thank you. Well, I'm actually a late bloomer, guys. And when you see the amount of projects that I produced between 2018 and 2021, basically, I started that department. So obviously, when you start a department, they throw at you so many things and projects because they want to see how far they can take it, how far they can take you.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I'll be honest with you. I did put my acting career on hold in 2016 when I came back to LA. Actually, I came back in 2015. I left LA in 2002. And I went back to my country, and then I went back with my husband in 2015. There was a lot of things in France that we just were not very happy anymore. The winter is very long, 7 months of gray sky, very humid. It's hard, mentally. And we were starting to feel frustrated with our careers. We needed a change. So I took my husband with me, and we made it happen there. I had a few connections. And then I was introduced to somebody who needed a producer to be able to run the dubbing department, to show Roundabout Entertainment actually how to dub, because Netflix wanted to start dubbing. As you know, in the US, you guys were very fond of subtitling. In my country, as a French person, we've been seeing dubbed projects since the late 40s, early 50s.
Wow.
Like, as a child, I had no idea if I was watching German, Italian, whatever, because everything sounded French, right? It's really part of our culture. And I heard, as a funny story, is that Americans love their AC blasted in their house. And that's why they appreciate more the subtitles than the dubbing. I was like, what is this crazy thing I'm hearing? It's like, yeah, it's true. It's like a Netflix person told me that.
I can
Makes
believe
sense.
it. It's very exciting when you start something, especially the American mentality is wonderful about that. I was treated like a queen at Roundabout. Don Clark, Janet Zapata, the vice president. Don Clark is the owner there, with Craig Clark, of course. Very sweet people. They opened their studio. They gave me an office and the use of the ADRs. And of course, they wanted to learn how it's done. So I ended up coordinating, casting, and choosing who was going to direct, sound engineering, and working with my adapters also. And I became this dubbing producer, and I had no idea that I was going to be so good at it. Because sometimes I struggle all my life as an actor, as an artist. I'm a very hardworking person. As Paul was mentioning it, I'm a child of the conservatory, so I was working very hard on my craft as a dancer, ballerina, drama, actress, and all that, singer also. But then I had not a very interesting career as a performer, because I didn't know how to push myself. I had a pretty low self-esteem, and it's not something that goes with the territory. So when I started dubbing, what I really loved is that I was in a situation where I could push actors. And of course, I could relate to them because I'm one of them. And it created so much joy. I had so much joy taking the phone saying you got the part. Especially when you create a new department, you have all these American LA actors that are coming with the best attitude, on time, thankful, showing gratitude, amazing flexibility emotionally. And at that time, what I was doing, I had a big live room that they put at my disposition at Roundabout, and I had this huge screen with my screen and my ritmo band, and I would teach them how to follow the ritmo band and to honor a good dub. And I would audition them at the same time because I needed to book my shows, and it was the most beautiful time I've ever had, because everybody was so excited on discovering a new craft. They were on time, they were auditioning, they were getting the parts. I was creating new jobs. So the freedom for me that I had there was precious. Very precious. Literally, guys, I was there at 7 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to. I was not an employee. I was independent contracting under my little 7HM company. I was running around the corridors and, oh, ADR4, that's this show, you are here, and I was running around the other ADR and, oh, this director wants to speak to me because he has an issue with the content. Or this actor is not really good at delivering. What are we going to do to help? Blah, blah, blah. It was madness. I was a little fairy of dubbing.
I love that. Dubbing fairy. So before we
yeah.
get too into the weeds of what your job looked like, Fannie, since today's episode pretty much is all about dubbing and ADR or automated dialogue replacement, let's talk about exactly what that is and what it isn't, what some of the misconceptions about it might be.
Yes. So that's a very good question. Thank you for, don't hesitate to ask me to stop talking.
We can tell you're very passionate about it. No worries.
Well, it's almost like channeling, It's like once I'm on, I can go, and it's certainly not, I don't think it's narcissism. It's like I'm afraid that I'm not going to give enough. So I give too much.
I know exactly what you mean. I am a generous over-explainer myself.
Voila, I'm like, oh my, I'm afraid they're not going to get it, so I'm going to give one more anecdote and one more example, and and they're like, she's been talking the whole time.
Information overload. No, you're doing great. Yeah. You're doing great. But yes, tell us what exactly is dubbing and what that means to you.
It's a very good question. So what it means to me is, first of all, it takes a village to do a good dubbing. We're treating real life, live action, right? And so, first of all, there is a challenge because, you can get a Russian series, a Polish one, a French film, and Mandarin film. It can come from anywhere in the world, right? So first of all, you want to really respect the culture, and you want to talk to your client, if there's some sensitive subjects, religions, certain way of talking. Right here, the character is cursing very hard. Are we allowed to allow the same kind of cursing in America? If not, what are their equivalents? Because the difficulty when you dub is that you're going to give it another language. In this example is English US for me, but you giving another language, you coming from another language and you going in English US, there's a lot of responsibilities you have as a producer because you are touching their content. So it's a very contradictory fact, but we are not touching the original, but we are making a new content because we are doing another language, right? So it's some clients are very nervous because they're afraid of us changing the content. So a good producer will, first of all, choose a good adapter, okay? The first rule, if you want to do a good dub, is to have somebody who can adapt perfectly in voice cue. I'm always going to be pushing this software because that's the best to be able to dub any kind of animation, video game, audio description, you name it. Okay, the actor has his eyes on the screen and will never go down or to read a piece of paper or listen to the beeps. Everything is on the screen now. It's a karaoke for actor. We have that method down. We don't want to touch it. Okay. Now, for the actor to be able to read properly, it needs to be adapted correctly. For example, my character that I'm going to be dubbing in French is going to be saying, "Oh, bonjour, comment ça va?" And when I say "ça va," at the end of my sentence, my mouth is wide open, right? Ah. But in American, if I say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And how you doing? It's the end of my sentence is a big smile, but with my mouth closed. So it's not syncing correctly, right? So my adapter is going to have to find a way of saying how you doing a different way because it needs to be the same sense, but it needs to fit the lips. So what if the character says, "Hey, what's up?" and leaving the mouth open with the "ah"? That way it matches the "ça va," right? That's adaptation.
I had no idea that was part of the process. That's fascinating.
That is the nerve of the live action war. dubbing. This is like, it's the nerve of the war. Right? It's a French expression. We say c'est le nerf de la guerre, meaning if you don't have a good adaptation to start, you won't have a good dub.
So who's responsible for doing that? Who's responsible for doing the adaptation on your staff? Or is it the production house that before it gets to you?
Independent people that I know that I hired in the past. I have a roster of adapters, and I'm also training adapters today with my company, with Max, because he's a voice cue rep internationally. He knows the software the best. So basically, we're helping people how to learn how to adapt on voice cue, because this is what's the most needed in this industry right now. Not actors, no directors, not sound engineers, not mixers, adapters.
Excellent. All right, so could you tell us a little bit more in detail about voice cue? I understand your husband helped develop this software?
Yes. So basically, he's representing the software now, and he helped them continue on making it better. We ran some testing with them and stuff, because I'm the one who pretty much has done the most production with the software. So he's accompanying me now, and now we are a whole team now. We started to work together since 2021, January 2021, and he's a video technician. So his brain can also go for sound, which he's amazing now at too. And he basically, with the testing, told voice cue, how to make it better for especially for the comfort of the actors. I'm always here to make the actors more comfortable and safer. So basically, the Ritmoband and the voice cue software is a software that any production should be using if you want to do video productions anywhere in the world. The only problem we have with voice cue yet is that it only works on Macs. So some people are still resisting to change because of that. They have to realize that they will make their money back because you produce faster with voice cue. Again, everybody's on the same screen, we're looking at the same content. Sound engineer, the director, and the actor. So we are all on the same page. Voice cue is a software that was created in New Zealand. They are now very present in the US. They will be at the NAB. They're also sponsoring the Colonco event. I think maybe I'm not saying it right. They're pretty big. I mean, they are starting to realize now that, their reputation is, but I mean, you have no idea how hard it was for them to sell that software. They have managed with a very small team how to cover a very large ground now, the software. I will always push them and represent them and speak on their behalf, because I have a lot of respect for their hard work. I mean, there have a few developers that are geniuses, and, pushing a software is one of the hardest things. I advocate for them because they advocate for us too. They send us projects, they send us people who want to learn. They love the way we communicate because they also see that we really care about actors. We are very protective of actors, especially with everything that's going on right now with AI and all that.
Yeah, we wanted to get into that, and since you brought it up, we may as well throw it out there. How has AI affected your industry, your part of the industry, or has it not? Do you think that will change in the future?
So 4 years ago, I started to be tackled, on LinkedIn by some AI companies, one of them being Respeecher and a few others. And I was just, taking meetings to see what they had. I wanted to know. 4 years ago, I was already as a producer, I was just seeing, how much money you could save as an actor. My heart was broken, So now I'm changing a little bit my way of looking at it, because it's not happening as fast as I was afraid it was going to happen. There's been a lot of conventions and meetings and, people saying the first business is going to be destroyed by this is the dubbing, especially live action, because, we started to see some demos, and stuff. But what I realized is that there's one thing that is very hard to replace is the emotional commitment and the physicality behind the voice.
I was going to say, I know a lot of people who have sort of maybe a negative or stereotypical perception of what dubbed English or what dubbed projects sound like based on things from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. I agree with you. I think there is still an artistry that's involved in matching the emotional intent across languages. And while it might save a whole lot of time to just synthesize the voices we need for these projects, I really feel like they are going to sound lifeless or soulless in a way.
Yes. I mean, it's like, again, for example, for audio description, I think AI would be great. Okay. And I'm telling you guys, producing audio description is a pain in the ass. Okay. I'll tell you why. You have to hire writers. There's so much writing involved, and you have to pay the writer for its time, right? Even using voice cue, it's a lot of time. And then you want to take an actor who's going to read, but the budget they have for audio description is very low. So they end up paying an actor $65 an hour. I'm talking big studios in LA, and that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You're not paying $65 an hour for somebody's work.
And quickly, Fannie, just to make sure our audience understands what audio description is versus dubbing. So audio description is when you provide sort of sensory information for people with visual impairments, correct?
It's for the blinds. Exactly. So basically, imagine you're watching a scene right now, and you have a girl, in her living room waiting for a phone call, and she's very stressed. Okay.
So you might have Fannie is waiting in her living room, waiting for a phone call. She looks very stressed.
Voila, something like that. But you see, it's like, for example, the way you just did it is too alive. Like a good audio description, this would be like, Fannie is sitting at her desk. She's looking by the window. She seems very sad. She's waiting for this phone call. No, she's worried. She looks worried. She's touching her lips very nervously. She's standing up, and now she's going to the bathroom. Okay? So
much more neutral.
It's neutral, and it's on the background because you certainly don't want to cover the original, what's going on, the dialogue, the noise in the streets, all the information that the ears are going to catch also, right? So I do believe that, for example, AI would be great for that. Okay? So that way, they make it happen. And it's like you're not taking a lot of actors' work because it's only one voice per films. And a lot of actors are doing this. Yes, some of them are doing it still for money, of course, but nobody's having fun doing this exercise. It's long. It's so yeah, I think AI could take this over, for example. Now, live action, animation, video games, narration for audiobooks and stuff. I'm still like really, really believing that there is still room for human voices. And we were discussing it yesterday with my husband, and he was saying to me, it's like, you know what? I think we're going to enter an age too where people will want to have AI voices. That's what they want. That's what they know they will get, and they're going for it. But there will be an audience that will be asking for humans. Okay, I want a human films with human voices. I want real faces. Especially the older generation, my generation, like in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, we still know what it feels like to have the natural stuff, the natural ways. So I think there might be two ways now to do performances. And I believe that live performances like theater, all that is going to come back very, very high if you manage to do remote live performances. I believe that.
I agree.
Now,
I'm definitely noticing a resurgence in live performance in sort of a reactionary approach to this sort of sea change of AI implementation.
Yeah. The thing is that, and that's what I love about what's going on right now, although, I'm sure you guys are aware of all the shit that's coming out. I mean, it's just crazy. Everything is coming out. The dark needs to be pointed out before we rebuild the light. I really believe that. I really feel like we're going through some dark times right now, and that we need to clean some stuff to get strong, to become stronger, and I think that the big people of this world, they forgot that the humans are very resilient. They're amazing survivors. We have our brains, we have our mind, we have our imagination, and we first got very scared of AI, but now again, we're using our brains, we're using our resilience, and we're making things happen, using it or not using it. We're still in control as humans. And I'm feeling the fear factor actually leaving me more and more. My job anyways as a producer and director is always to give hope and be proactive with my people, because that's what I am. I lead, and I love what I do. I give hope, and I give my passion. If I don't have that, if I lose that, I will do something else in my life. But it's my responsibility to be honest and say, yeah, it's here. Stop fearing it, because you can actually use it for a lot of things, for your own business, for your life, for as your evolution as a human being. And you can also make sure there's a limit, protect yourself, make sure you don't put anything with your voice that doesn't have any music in the background or any sound in the background with your voice, because yes, they will clone it. They will clone the shit out of you. Of course. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? It's easy to do. Okay. Now everybody's grabbing and doing their thing. If you're a good artist, though, if you're a good actor, if you're a good creative person, you can still control also your destiny. I believe that. But you're going to have to be open-minded. You're going to have to be still working. You're going to have to rely on your instinct and be even more creative, for sure.
Yeah, we're at a really interesting time right now, and I love that your optimistic view of it. And I mean, like, we're long past the point of denial. We'll say that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already here, and basically, so many of us don't understand the ramifications of this new technology. Even people in decision-making positions, right? I mean, ask someone in Washington if they understand what AI is and the ramifications. They'll probably say no. It's just a profit-making measure. But the thing is like, the more knowledgeable you become, the more confident you can protect yourself. And as you suggested, implement this technology in beneficial ways for your personal and professional life.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, you choose your battles, right? I'm also like, right now, especially live action dubbing is very hip. So a lot of people wants to coach with us. I'm like, okay, when I coach, I take money from actors. I don't give them work, right? So to me, because I started to give so much work the first 3 years, the first 30 months, I was giving so much work to so many people. So, you get really high from this, right? And once I started, I decided to stop. I didn't want to be employed by Roundabout, because I'm not a corporate person. I'm not the kind of person you're going to bring to human resource because, your tone yesterday was not good for us. I'm like, yeah, guess what? I don't care. I work hard. I can't justify my way of working if I deliver very good stuff. You know what I mean? It's especially, I know I'm a great team player. So that atmosphere of the corporate stuff was not for me. But I knew I was taking a risk of leaving all this, having so many projects thrown at me and going completely independent, and doing one project at a time with my husband. But at the same time, going one project to the next, very much niche, and really taking the time to work for one project at a time was what I wanted, because I'd done so many in such a short amount of time. But then I became also a coach, because I was asked by studios to show actors they wanted to book how to follow the voice you rhythm band, because it's still very new. And once I'm here now coaching, which I love to do, because I'm with the actor, I'm creative, we're a team. It's wonderful. I love to do this. And it's a one-to-one. The actor has exactly the same screen that I have. It's the same sensation that the actor would have if he would dub in a big studio, My point being, I owe truth and honesty to this person who's paying me to show them, okay, how to do a new craft. Okay, that's good. But also let's talk about what's going on. You coming to me, I'm going to give you an hour of my knowledge. I'm going to adapt a specific scene for you, direct you, make you feel what it is to dub. You're going to be recorded live. You'll have a very, very honest feedback. I don't sugarcoat. If you're not meant for this, I will tell you, it's too hard to have an acting career nowadays, especially in the VO world. It's very saturated. But I want to also discuss with this person I'm having, hey, how do you feel about what's going on right now? In what state are you, or what part of the world? Also, because our workshops are international. And I need to see how you're feeling as my student / actor today. If you're good, I keep you in my roster. I'm also being really good at hiring my students / actors for my remote productions because I want to give back. But I need to hear them talk to me and say, hey, Fannie, this is what I'm doing. I use AI for my website and I did this, but the other day I felt like they wanted to underpay me because of this and because of that. I fought for myself. I said no, but right now I'm doing my own VO projects. I'm doing my own voices. It's like we communicate about what's going on. Let's be stronger together. We're part of a community. Yeah, we're being shaken. But guess what? Being an actor has never been comfortable and will never be. Okay? Especially with all the shit that comes up right now. Okay? It's, the sex trafficking stuff, the DD, the story, the music industry is gone now. There's so much stuff that is so difficult in our industry. It has been like that for a very long time. So AI is basically telling you, hey, are you strong enough to keep going? Because if you didn't have the shoulders before, it's not going to get easier. But at the same time, with the people who've been going for a while, they are resilient people. They know what they want. I tell them, I said, yeah, have another tool in your VO toolbox, in your personal booth. You need to know how to do, but also don't keep all your eggs in the same basket with your VO career. Even if you have a kick-ass VO career, have another little business that you develop on the side, sell, French clothes or whatever, something completely different, because we don't know how we're going to be eaten in a way, but we know also that we can still have fun for a while. It's just, same thing. If you're into cryptocurrency, you better have a wallet. It's like,
That's amazing advice, Fannie. I think so many things that I love and wanted to touch on. Just the idea that, acting has always been an extremely difficult career path. This is just a new obstacle or a new presentation of that struggle, of that difficulty. And we often, on this podcast, in through the education at GVAA, we often encourage people to try and find industry adjacent or not careers that you can supplement your income with, whether that's audio engineering or being an on-camera talent or anything that's, like you said, could be fashion if that's a passion of yours.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder to the industry. Like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Actors always have to be on top of things and adapt to changing technologies, but also have certain things in place to protect themselves and make sure that they're not this isn't an exercise in futility trying to build a career.
So, for example, talking about extra income, that's why when I coach my actors and I speak to them a lot about adaptation, because I tell them, if you learn how to adapt on voice crew, it's going to give you a great income. And you tell them, hey, I'm an actor. I saw the content I was adapting. Can I get this role? I know I can do this. And they will say yes, because they are so happy to have a good adapter. They will trust you can act, and they will hire you. It's an easier way to get VO dubbing VO work as an adapter as a VO actor.
Yeah, choose the less saturated market. And of course, production teams, they're like, well, it's probably cheaper if we hire Fannie to adapt and act than it is to hire a separate adapter and actor.
You're absolutely right. And they're trying to be too greedy. There's no way around, my dear. It's like, it takes good adaptation, excellent casting, good directing. I believe a live action director should also be an actor, because they want everything to be delivered yesterday. So sometimes we have to give line reads, and good pro actors love that. We give line reads. I like line reads. Hey, say it like this. Oh, thank you. I have the music now.
Oh, I have no qualms with a line read. I'm like, yes, tell me exactly what you want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's so much better. The director has seen the whole content. You haven't. You don't even know what you're walking in. So it's your responsibility as the dubber to come rested, fresh, leave your home earlier if you have to be on site, so you don't freak out about parking. I always take 10 minutes to speak to my actor, just to get to know him. Even if he's a little late, I don't care. We'll get the time later. But, I need to connect with him from a human standpoint, and then vroom, we boogie. And it's so much fun.
Wonderful. I'm curious a little bit about the actual production process, because your studio is based out of Las Vegas, correct?
Yeah, so it's a remote studio. Basically, I hire only actors that have an excellent setup from home and already worked with me or coached with me. The only person who records in my studio is myself.
Ah, okay. Okay. No, that answered that question. And so could you give, we talked a little bit about needing, say, a or Mac hardware in order to run voice cue. And honestly, these days you can get a Mac Mini or a MacBook Air for pretty reasonable prices. But I'd love to know more about sort of a standard or baseline home studio setup that someone might want to have if they were going to pursue dubbing work.
So you can send them to my website. It's number 7, holdingsmedia.com. And Max made a great page there where you can access, and you can click on it. You buy the stuff straight there on Amazon. And he made a selection of like very accessible to accessible stuff. You need an interface, a mic, headphones, the right cable, a screen, all that stuff. And also he helps people to install their setup remotely when they need help, because some of them are not tech savvy at all. It's my problem. I'm very creative. I'm not tech savvy. I can work on Pro Tools a bit and stuff, but I mean, he's the brain. I'm just the crazy person.
So you're the survivalist, he's the servant, basically.
Well, exactly. Very well put. Very well put. But please, send them there, and send me an email also if you want to try a one-to-one session with us. If you want to talk more about this business, don't hesitate. Send me an email at Fannie, FANNIE, at number 7, holdingsmedia.com. You're welcome to ask me anything, or if you want to participate to a one-to-one or workshop or whatever.
Awesome. Sounds great. And I highly recommend it because it's one of those things where a lot of people are interested in it, but they have so many questions about what the production process is, or how they pursue the work, or what an actual session looks like. And I feel like there's no substitute for a simulation of that. So I highly recommend people, if you want to do this type of work, to go to 7holdingsmedia.com, find out what kind of space you need, and reach out to Fannie and her husband, and they can get you hooked up as far as time goes.
No, you're very sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is a craft that's not for everyone, but good actors have incredible fun doing it. I compare it a little bit of learning how to rely on your instinct, like a little bit like improv work.
Mm-hmm. I've done, let's see, one project that might be considered a dub, and then a couple of workshops, and I'll never forget, there's so many things going on. There are the beeps in my headphones. One eye is looking at the original video. One eye is looking at the script. I'm listening to the director in my headphones, and I'm just like, this is so invigorating, but I'm so locked in and both really focused and loose. It's nuts. I highly recommend people try it if you've never done anything like it.
It's so hard because you expect it to sound natural with all that stress going on around you, So, but you see, it's a very, again, I mean, the technology we created, Max created this remote workflow. We're the only one in the world being able to dub from home. Why? We created that technology when the pandemic started. I was still at Roundabout Entertainment. And I begged my clients and Netflix, I said, please don't cancel those shows. I had 2 series and 2 films at that moment that were in pre-production. And what we did, I asked Max, I'm like, you know what I'm doing at Roundabout? I want the director at home, the actor at home, and the sound engineer at home. 3.5 weeks of testing, and then bam, we could make it happen. The actor, what I asked Max also was like, I don't want the actor to have to own any softwares to be able to dub, because already they're buying their booth and their stuff. All my best dubbers, Ferraris, they needed to get their setup from home, right? They needed to set up, because we couldn't be in studios anymore at that moment. So I said, I don't want them to buy that too. So Max created that workflow where we send 2 links, one audio, one video. You open those 2 links, and then bam, you have your proxy with the karaoke for actors. My voice comes in your headphones. Your beautiful voice comes in my speakers. And then bam, we're live, real time, we're dubbing.
amazing. And I feel like people who, like, we'll say intermediate or advanced talent who already have home studio setups probably have some experience with similar software. So, like you said, it's very analogous to karaoke software. So it's really cool to hear that this is something that with a lot of prep can go very smoothly. And I just want to say, I've heard of an actor's director before, which you obviously are, but an actor's dubber and producer, I love just how much thought and consideration has gone to the performers in how to make this and how to allow them to do what we do best.
Yes, it's a very difficult craft, my dear. And again, it takes from adaptation all the way to mixing. It really takes a village, and the person you need the most to honor a good dub is the voice that you cast. Also, I need to point that out to you. It's very important that you know this about me. I know my actors so well because I had them in past productions, or they did a workshop with me, a one-to-one session, that I don't audition. I directly give them the parts. Why? It is absolutely unnecessary to audition an actor for dubbing if you just give him the script. He doesn't know the original. I don't know if this woman, if she sounds like this or if she sounds like this. Oh, she's 40 years old. She has 2 kids, da-da-da. Okay, I still don't know how she sounds. And they're so paranoid with their content and their NDAs and all that. So they don't give the actor, they should give the actor, a sample of the recording of just the voice of the actor you're supposed to dub. That would be a smart audition. They're not doing that. So we're wasting the time of coordinators, assistant of agents, and a lot of actors, because it takes time to do a good dubbing audition, right? Mm-hmm. And then everybody's auditioning. Meanwhile, you have everybody like listening, and everybody's hearing you're not getting the part to get just one voice. Okay, that's silly. Mm-hmm. It's a waste of time for everybody. I know what you can do. I know how you can deliver because I've seen you use voice cue. So guess what? You got the part.
Brilliant.
That's it. It's this is what I did for Igloo, like Sweet Home 2 Korean series. I had 234 voices to cast.
Wow.
234. So of course, I gave, many different voices to the same actor because I know they can voice match, and some voices, it was just 2 sentences, But then again, bam, 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 bam. I know who can do it. And I told Igloo, I said, okay, I'm very happy to do your casting, guys, but it's my way or no way. Because I know they can deliver and I don't want to waste anybody's time. And they go, oh, no auditions? Great. I'm like, see?
Brilliant. I mean, excellent creative problem solving. And I was like, man, I thought video game NDA stuff was ridiculous, but it's just like you arguably one of the most important performance specs you could offer a talent, you keep secret, and then you expect them to land it. It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, you don't know what you're auditioning for, and it's so if you get a picture, I mean, even with a picture, it's difficult. The timbre, the pitch. I get a lot when I watch the original. I hear the voices of the actor who's going to dub. I hear them in my head. So if I hear, for example, a voice like this, like all the voices, but she's got that raspiness, but also she's very negative. She's always complaining. Sometimes it's going to make me think of an actress who's always complaining. And is always, but she got the same thing in the eyes and has a different voice. But she's got the soul for that character. And you know what? It always works.
Brilliant. And I just wanted to touch on, too, because you were mentioning the benefit of working with someone, of training with someone and that potentially leading to work. So quick disclaimer, signing up to work with Fannie doesn't guarantee you a dubbing gig, but it puts I
will try.
She will try, I believe you. So it'll put a face to your name. It will show you. Like a lot of agents or casters or dubbers will do these kind of workshops, and they're no guarantee of work, but there is a benefit. Like you will have a much more lasting impression in person, and for something that requires a specific skill set, if you take to this like a fish to water, of course Fannie would want to work with you, right? It's just like you're right there. So this is just another form of professional development and networking that you might want to consider if these are areas or if there's a caster, an agent, or a dubbing producer that you might want to work with.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're very transparent, and once you take a one-to-one with us or workshop, I'll tell you as is, I really bring my actors to down to earth. We're really together. We're holding hands, literally. Even Saturday, I did one with 8 actors. It was a remote one. We had tears in our eyes at the end. We love being together. It just federates people. It brings us together. And I tell them, I said, now you have my phone number. You can reach me on my phone if you have a question about rates, from a client that you feel is taking advantage of you, or if you have a fear for your career, or if you have a tech question or whatever. And also, I'm pushing them. Sometimes I refer a lot of my actors to other people. They don't know about it, but you know what they do too? They refer me too as a European actor. I'm Callisto Alar in Call of Duty.
Cool.
And thank you so much. And I was referred by one of my directors, Wolfie Trausch. I gave him a lot of director's gig, and he loves my acting for some reason. And he's the one who got me back in the booth, actually, because I stopped being an actor in 2016. And he's like, Fannie, I know you can do this. I'm like, no, I can't. And he's like, yes, you can. It turned out that I'm great at doing old ladies. I'm just very good at it. I don't know what it is. I just match their energy. And oh, what are you saying? You can talk to me like that, honey. Don't touch my boobs now. I don't know what it is. And Wolfie sent me that audition for Call of Duty, and I didn't know it was for Call of Duty at that time. And he was like, I know you're going to be good at this. I'm like, Wolfie, I don't know anything about video games. He's like, who cares? And I booked it. So
isn't that the way? It's like oh God, I would kill for this audition. Of course you don't get it, but you're like, video games, what are those?
Yeah, and now, of course, now I love it. I love it. Now I'm all over it. I mean, I'm so proud. I mean, I have some fans. They're like, oh, can you send me this? I'm like, yeah, I'll do. I'll give you a digital flyer for free.
Got
with
a
my
camo
signature.
account and everything. Or cameo, yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. I got my cameo. It's so cute. But when I get an acting gig, it's like the cherry on the cake for me.
Mm-hmm.
I audition. I have a great VO agent, and I audition and stuff. But the most fun I have is when I voice cast and voice direct. That's my thing.
Awesome. Well, Fannie, it has been so wonderful to talk to you. I have learned so much about the dubbing industry, and I appreciate your generosity of spirit and your expertise. Is there anything else you want to share about yourself, your company, or just some advice to aspiring actors out there?
I'm going to talk first to the actors. Don't be shy. Continue on following what you envision for yourself as being seen as a performer, but also don't remember to be your own producer, your own boss. Okay. You can also do your own production. You can also write your own stuff. Okay. Very important. Don't stay stuck in just one way of exploring your ability to exist as an artist. As a business owner, you should definitely go to my website, again, 7holdingsmedia.com, and check us out. Reach out to us. We will hold your hand to teach you how to dub or how to adapt on VoiceQ. And once you're in our life, we'll just continue on sharing stuff together.
Wonderful. Happy to recommend you because, there's so many people I know who are interested in this subset or subgenre of VO and have no idea where to start. So I'm happy to send them your way.
That's very nice of you. I really appreciate. I so appreciate your gesture. If you're interested on trying a one-to-one with us, I'll give you 50%. Okay.
Amazing. All right.
Yes.
We'll be sure to mention that at the end of the interview as well. So
yes, I'm definitely taking you on. You have a good voice and you're motivated. So let's try it.
Yes, please. I will take you up on that. Awesome. Anything else you want to say, Fannie?
I'm very, very grateful that I've met you today, my dear. Thank you for trusting my expertise, and let's keep reflecting positivity. And if there's fears, let's hold hands. We're not alone.
Yes, please. Kumbaya and all that.
Kumbaya.
Well, Like I said, it was a pleasure to meet you, Fannie.
Thank you again.
Your passion for your craft is absolutely palpable, and you truly are an actor's creative, and you just had so many wonderful ideas on how to be not just a successful actor, but anyone who wants to pursue a creative path or paths, because we all know you don't want to put your eggs in one basket. So,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day, Fannie.
Thank you. Big hugs. Take care.
Big
Bye-bye.
hugs.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Paul, did you know Voice123, the largest online marketplace for voice actors, just celebrated its 20th year anniversary?
Whoa, really? That's amazing. Doesn't really surprise me, though. I've used Voice123 since the beginning of my career. I remember way back in my first year where I booked a job as a hypnotist. I actually got to say, "You are getting very sleepy," on a radio ad. The whole thing was super easy. They even paid me right away for the audition and said that was all they needed.
I've been a member of Voice123 for years as well. I've always enjoyed their upfront policies, ability to contact clients directly, and their commitment to the voiceover industry.
Totally. CEO Rolf Veldman has appeared on the show before, and in every interaction I've had with him and the company, I felt a sense of trust, like they really care.
Well, if you want a great place to find your VO niche and find yourself as a voice actor, visit voice123.com for more information.
Now, VO Meter listeners can also get 15% off premium tier memberships. For more information, visit our website and click on the Click Here to Save 15% banner on our sponsors page.
Voice123. Speak for yourself.
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources, like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
All right, and we're back. Thanks so much to not only Fannie, but Sean for filling in for me. You may have noticed I just kind of disappeared after about a quarter of the interview. I don't think we really even mentioned why, but I had to run out, and we knew that ahead of time, and I told Fannie I had to go pick up one of my kids from an event, and Sean was going to the finish for us, and he did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. And I just learned so much just talking with Fannie, and just if you take anything away from it, just being the openness to learning new skills and always trying to make yourself as knowledgeable of all of the adjacent areas of this business, so you might be able to add to your skill set and the services that you can offer as a voiceover production business yourself.
And the ability to pivot, because we talked about that a lot, how you and I have pivoted to other adjacent parts of the business, whether it be live announcing or producing or directing for other people or teaching classes. And Fannie did the same thing, and now she's reaping the rewards. And if you want to learn about dubbing or even participate with 7 Holdings Media, which is Fannie's company, you can contact them at https://www. Why I did the whole URL, I don't know. 7, the number 7, holdings, plural, media.com, 7holdingsmedia.com. And Fannie's address is Fannie, Fannie, at 7holdingsmedia.com. You can book a session with her and then possibly get on her radar for doing work with 7HM.
Well, that wraps up this episode of the VO Meter.
Measuring your voice over progress.
Thanks for listening. You'll hear us in the next one. Thanks for listening to this episode of the VO Meter. To follow along, visit us at www.vometer.com.
We'd also love to hear your comments or suggestions for the show. Or if you have a questionable gear purchase, tell us all about it on our Facebook page or on Twitter at the VO Meter.